Last podcast, I said I was going to do a swim around Hamilton Island. I'm not going to do the swim around Hamilton Island. I really, and I still do want to do it, but there was so many factors involved in it. It's not that I doubted my ability to swim 30 Ks, even though some people might. It's just the other things that are involved. And when I did the Uluru run, it was just the skill required, and I guess the heat. But there's you got sharks for starters.
Yes.
But then you've also got these jellyfish, irukandji, and whatever the other bad.
Box jellyfish, isn't it? Yeah.
They're also really bad, and you can't see them, and they're tough to diagnose because it's just a sort it's hard to differentiate that between sea lice and then diagnosing it. You've got
Really? They're like the same?
no, they feel the same as sea lice. One of them do. One of them are it's complicated.
And then they kill you.
Pretty much. So you've got like a small window to diagnose it and treat it.
Yeah, no thanks.
And I figured death probably isn't worth it.
Might be a reason no one's swum around that island so far.
It could be. I'd still like to be the first person because I don't think anyone's done it before. But I think a lot more planning and a lot more knowledge. I just couldn't find enough in the time that I was researching on the internet. But I have come up with a solution because I really want to do something, and I really want to hit $50,000 raised by the end of this year, raised for charity. So I think what I'm going to do, I did 60 kilometers run early this year. I'm just going to up it to 120.
120, where to? What's the run going to be?
I think what I'm going to do is go... I'm undecided on the route I want to take, but I like the idea of running from Brisbane to the border, the New South Wales-Queensland border, or the border to Brisbane. I'm thinking that because if I were to do that, that means I can finish like in King George Square, and then you can sort of just have everyone there and invite everyone. And plus, as it's getting tougher and tougher and the further you run, the closer you get to home and the more support you'll probably have. So I feel like that will be an easier and more motivating.
You know how Jess was saying the other episode that sometimes she gets people to jump in, do a little bit of swim with her? You can do the same thing there.
A few
Have
paces.
a little bit of...
I will.
Paces, exactly.
Yeah.
It'll be a slow pace. It'll take like 120 kilometers. That'll take probably 20 hours.
Yeah.
24 hours. Like it's probably going to be. I sort of wanted to. I mentioned it first on the pod, and I'm amending myself on the pod first. I didn't want to announce anything first because I wanted to explain it, but I haven't even I've literally just come up with the idea, and this.
He's just saying outlandish shit.
No, I am. But I'm serious. I'm dead serious. But the run only came about in the last 24 hours. I messaged Joe and Andy last night, and I said, I don't think I can do this swim. I just don't think
it's like a feasible option.
Yeah, it just
too many factors you can't control.
And looking at the other islands, it just seemed either they're in the same region, so you've got the same jellyfish, or if you go further to New South Wales, logistically it's a lot harder to get to. They're further off the coast, how are you getting there?
Yeah, bugger that.
The amount of stuff you bring. So I thought...
Still do something challenging, to run 120k, that's still stupid idea. But... it's a lot less stupid than possibly swimming through jellyfish that kill you.
Yes.
And you can't see them.
You can control your route. You obviously know that there's not going to be anything like irukandji jellyfish on your run.
Might be a dingo.
Yeah, that'd be alright.
Yeah, you can outrun
a
a
dingo.
Okay.
You let people with you.
119 k's in outrun.
You know, someone tailing you like a car or whatever, that's going to scare off any of that shit. And do you know if it's 120k? You haven't even looked into it yet.
I think
would be off route.
I think it's about 106 kilometers, the walking route suggested by Google Maps, and we'll spend more time figuring it out.
You know what you should use? You should get into Komoot.
I've heard of that.
like a trail running, gravel riding, mountain biking app. Basically, it just finds you. You can set elevations and all that sort of thing, but it basically finds you the most efficient route through cross-country terrain. It's brilliant. I use it for running.
Yeah. Well, I think I want to stick to sort of roads and footpaths just so that if people want to follow along, it's easy for them.
It's also good for picking one type of shoe, and especially because it'll help in terms of your knees and stuff like that. You can pick some big chunky boys to soften it all up.
Yeah. But I think... the distance, I think it's about 106 kilometres from, I think it was Coolangatta to King George Square. So I might just extend it a little bit so it'll be a little bit further south from the border. running to King George Square, but I want to make sure I hit 120. And if I'm starting further into New South Wales, that's fine. But I think I'm excited because Uluru, you're essentially, while everyone was engaged with the run, I'm excited to have the idea of people actually like there to watch me finish.
They can be there to see you.
Yeah,
at the
like
finish line.
that's pretty exciting. Like,
That's nuts, yeah.
imagine having like 10, 15 people. I don't know how many, but like I feel like I'd be able to
Whole
find
pod
10
comes out?
people. Yeah,
That'd be pretty cool.
imagine recording one after. Fuck that.
Yeah, 100% will be recorded. If we're doing it after the
We
marathon,
might have to.
after the marathon, I'll feel like you feel after this 120k run. That's what I reckon.
Yeah,
Most likely.
that's okay.
Yeah.
It's all. You'll just be the amount of pleasure that will come from you finishing the marathon and having a sip of water or like sitting down is just like
Have this water.
Euphoric.
it's orgasmic. Yeah,
Oh.
it's something else.
Yeah,
It is really something else.
But it's, even hearing you talking about doing a 120k run, to me, it's a lot more digestible than you swimming 30k. Like, in an environment you don't. To me, I seem like that's it. You could definitely do that better than you could do the 30.
I need some
In
of his
my head.
confidence.
Pardon me?
I need to hear some of his confidence. No, I think
I'm
I
talking
can
about
do it.
you, though. I
Yeah.
feel like that's a more easily digestible
Yeah,
thing
no,
for
it
people
is.
to follow. Like, he can do that. It's not going to be as much of a
Like I said
logistical nightmare.
to Jess the other episode, I can't fucking understand endurance swimming. It's mind-boggling sport. I mean, there's especially like open water swimming, there's so many little elements that you've got to take into consideration. At least with running, like you're running on a road.
Swimming, you've got the swell, you've got wind,
it's nuts.
you've got tide,
Temps.
so many different things. Running, it is a lot easier to control.
Just watching your footing, and then the rest is up to you. That's
Yeah.
literally it.
Running through the night will be tough.
Running through the night, and you'll start early morning, but you reckon about 20 hours.
I reckon
so
I might start in the afternoon.
go through the night.
I don't know. I feel
It'll
like
be
if I-
cooler.
it'll be cooler, but I think when I did Uluru, when it becomes daylight, there's a certain amount of energy. It's uplifting. So if I was to be uplifted like 12 hours through, and then it's early morning in Brisbane, and then I'm finishing around lunchtime in Brisbane, like people.
It's good for your
Can
sleep
hopefully-
schedule too, because you'll be getting to Brisbane, you'll be absolutely smashed. You won't be able to walk. You'll be just rooted, and then you'll be ready for bed.
I
Best-
won't be sleeping. You'll be in too much pain. You can't sleep.
Yeah.
That's what
Maybe.
happened with Uluru.
Yeah, too much pain, excruciating pain. You
Cramps
just,
and that.
Is there anything you
everything.
think you can do differently to prepare for it in terms of that, or it's more your recovery you think you can improve on? Because preparing, you might be a little bit better.
I'll spend more time strengthening my legs because I felt like that was towards the later part of Uluru. That was not what let me down, but that's an area I can improve on. So just squatting and lunging, just improving the muscles in my legs. But I think it's just the longer you go, the slower you've got to go at. So it's
Yeah,
just
you
managing
can't-
the pace
you
better.
can't go a million miles an hour. It's
No,
not possible.
no.
Even Jess said that endurance things are different, where it's just
Yeah.
like you're pacing yourself is a huge part of it. And you know your pace, but you don't push yourself beyond that.
That's
Yeah.
why we're like the apex predator of the planet, is because we started off as cavemen learning how to pace ourselves in comparison to like a gazelle, for example. Like we're never gonna fucking catch a gazelle, but at least if we run it down over like 10 hours. So I mean, you're
that's
built
one of
like
the-
you're
yeah.
naturally built for these sort of like ridiculous lengths. It's just like nowadays, with all the sugars and stuff like that in your diet, you're not necessarily as fit.
Oh, and there's no need to be able to run
Well,
for
exactly.
20 hours if you need. Like, there's no need. We have cars.